Hello, I'm Mike. This is Joe.
I'm Joe.
Welcome to Off Call. We're doctors in LA, and we decided to start a podcast that's not serious in the world of medicine.
Not so informational, more just a couple doctors talking about things.
Yeah, because every medical podcast we listen to is too serious. We want to talk about more like the culture of medicine, like crazy stuff that's happened in residency, med school, our road to medicine, all that stuff.
Yeah, and then off topics. Wherever we go, we go.
Wherever we go, just so that lonely resident has something to listen to when he's crying in the corner after being berated by an attending.
Oh, man.
So we have to start off by saying there's no medical advice in this podcast whatsoever. Just treat it like we're playing characters. Doesn't represent us in any way.
Nope.
We're just here to have fun. Talk about anything remotely medicine related.
That goes for all podcasts. Don't listen to medical advice from any podcast.
Yeah, if you're getting your medical advice from podcasts, what are you doing with your life?
That's right. Medicine is way too personal.
So do not take any of our advice. We're just two doctors that want to hang out and talk to each other, and you guys can listen in.
Hopefully entertain.
So Joe is my best good friend.
Best buds.
He was the best man at my wedding. We met in med school, and we've been best friends ever since. He's a great guy, and he's a critical care doctor in LA, one of the biggest hospitals in LA.
And Mike is a. Am I supposed to do you now?
No.
is that my cue? You gave me that look like I'm supposed to do you now. Mike is all right.
I mean, you're supposed to talk on a podcast. No, I'm an internal medicine hospitalist. We're both board certified. Are you board certified in internal medicine and critical care?
Both. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just internal medicine. I didn't want to go any further. But if I would have gone further, what do you think I would have gone into?
Rheumatology.
No, I hate rheumatology. I don't know how people do it. It's so vague. It's like such a vague medicine.
I think the benefits of rheumatology is the outpatient. You're an outpatient doctor. It's comfortable.
We'll get into
9 to 5,
that.
No holidays.
I mean, I was going to do outpatient, but I'm kind of deciding against it right now. So I'm a hospitalist. I love it.
Because originally you wanted to do outpatient.
I mean,
Primarily, that's what your plan was.
I
When
think
did that
it's
switch.
I think it's because I had an edge to start in
Right,
primary care. My
right.
mom and sister are pediatricians, and all the kids that would age out,
Right.
I would take over. But then, like,
Such a privilege.
I know it was. I mean, that was my edge. I'm like, I better take advantage of this because they could help me out. I got the patients. We
Why
have
not?
office
It's
space.
like 10 years ahead of everybody else.
I know. But then I realized I don't like people bothering me about like such minor problems. It's like I'm an acute care doctor. Like if you're not about to like die, like I'm not critical care, but like if you're in the hospital, I want to fix you, get you out of there, and then that's it.
Outpatient's the absolute opposite of ICU. I think it's like the benefits are long term. You don't really see them. It's 20 years down the line. The statins and
Yeah. And then I dump people from the hospital on their PCP. I'm like, all right, you got a whole bunch of things going on.
That's right.
You're not worthy for the hospital anymore.
I feel the same when I downgrade somebody. I'm like,
I'm like, all right, it's his problem now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
I know. I'm like, how is his PCP going to fix this?
Yeah,
I'm like, he's just going to bounce back.
I'll see you next month.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do primary care. I don't know. Maybe later on down the line, I'll do primary care. And then.
But you're a good personality, and I think that you would, maybe benefit from some more continuous relationships with patients.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
I do like.
concierge. What about concierge?
Yeah, but then you're like more service based, like
you become customer service rather than a physician, really.
and you got to be on call all the time. And there's still minor problems like, oh, my stomach hurts. It's been hurting for the past hour. I'm like, it'll go away.
I think in the
worry.
contracts they specify times at which you can call for like minor things like that.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
after 5 they say like you can't call for like medication refills and that sort of thing Saturday, Sunday.
that would be good. But I know
that's typical, I think. But
Yeah.
obviously, how are you going to enforce that?
I don't know. My sister, who's an amazing pediatrician, works with my mom. She's taken over her practice. She's answering emails, calls all the time. And then you just have the short weekend and then you go back to work.
That's true. The benefits of our jobs is we're shift work. So when
Yeah.
we're off, we're off.
I know. I love 7 on, 7 off. It's the best.
I will never change it because I still love my job.
Yeah.
Because of that reason, because I have my personal life and I can have 7 days off in a row and do whatever I want with it. You travel a lot.
Yeah. Weeks off, we're going to Palm Springs, like short little trips, and like it's the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7 on, 7 off is the best. I like the acute care. It's easy for me now. I started in 2020. I became a hospitalist in 2020. So I'm almost 5 years in. I guess 4 years. My math is not that good.
It's okay.
And
4
I don't
years
think I
in
would
July.
change it. So I started the process to like getting credentialing, talking to IPAs about getting patient pools, getting Medi-Cal.
Oh, wow.
They sent me on a runaround to like get Medi-Cal coverage, and it was just like, and then you have to get credentialed with IPAs. They wanted like letters of recommendation. I'm like, who?
What?
I was like, I
For
talked to my
attending?
buddies in the hospital. Yeah, like other PCPs in the community.
Huh. Should have asked me to write one.
Yeah, I could do. I mean, yeah, I was gonna do it, and then I realized, do I want to do this? Like, I'm doing it because I have an edge, and then that's it. But
Interesting. Nobody really realizes the paper pushing we do. A lot of paper pushing.
I know.
A lot of paper pushing.
But when you're with a group, like my hospitals, they take care of all that, like credentialing and like
That's the
everything
point
like
of
that.
joining a group, right? You cut out the overhead.
Yeah. Okay, so why did we start a podcast? We wanted an informal podcast, and it was just like two of us shooting the shit. Like, we're gonna hang out, talk about medicine, maybe not medicine, and then go from there.
What we typically do, but just with a microphone in front of us.
Yeah. And then today's our test episode. I'm gonna talk about my road to medicine, and it might be similar to yours. It might be different. I mean, we'll see. So, as I said, my mom is a pediatrician. I've been exposed to medicine all my life. I didn't really get pressured into being a doctor or anything like that. I just didn't know like really what else to do.
Yeah.
I love the science of it. I like that like.
Your parents said you can be whatever you want: pediatrician, dermatologist, cardiologist.
So I was thinking about going into pediatrics, but then I realized like I love kids, but like I don't like sick kids, and it's just like.
That's especially more difficult now that we have kids, right?
Oh yeah, I know. Like I deal with old people, and like if an 80-year-old comes in with cancer all over the place and he passes away, like it's not like a big deal. But if a kid passes away, it's like, oh my God, I couldn't handle that.
It's the absolute worst.
Yeah.
And also the suffering before that, they don't quite understand what's going on, and then
Yeah.
sort of the idea of why is it me in this place and why does everyone else get to do?
Yeah. So anyway, born and raised in LA. In high school, I was an okay student. I was in like the high 3.0 GPAs, did a couple AP classes, but I like to have fun. And then I went to college, UC Irvine, and that's where it all went downhill.
I forgot that's also where I went to.
I know, we didn't know
we
each
both went
other.
to the same college, but we didn't know each other until we met in med school. But go on.
Yeah, I'm older. I graduated in 10. When did you graduate?
12, not that much.
Oh,
But
I didn't know.
Definitely were together.
I don't know. I saw pictures of Joe in college, and he didn't look that cool. He had, how many Affliction shirts did you own at that time?
A lot of dragons. I had a lot of dragons.
Did you have Ed Hardy?
I did.
You did? Oh my
One
God.
pair of jeans until I got ridiculed in a club by a
Really?
much bigger man in front of a girlfriend at the time.
Really?
And I was like, all right, I'm throwing these jeans away. That's
Like,
it's probably
I'm
not.
going to throw these away.
That's exactly what happened. Easily influenced.
So yeah, our paths didn't cross at UC Irvine. My fatal mistake. So you're going to make fun of me.
I'm going to love it.
This is breaking news. I joined a fraternity.
You did not. You never told me about that.
Because I'm embarrassed about
You
it.
should be embarrassed about it.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't even plan on it, like going, like
Yeah, you did.
I did not. So
You did.
I'm not like going to college. I wasn't like, I'm gonna join a fraternity, do all this stuff. And
You did.
so like during our welcome week, all the people in my dorm were going to Rush events, and I
Oh, I
went
see.
and like partied with them.
And you're like, wait, I could pay for these?
No, they're all free at
I'd
the
rather
time.
pay for these.
They're all free at the time. And then, so I went to Rush events, then they started pressuring me. And then, like, I was hanging out with really cool guys. I'm like, okay, if they're doing it, I'll see how far this goes. Then I pledged, and then I met some of the best, some of my best friends today were from that fraternity.
That's really what it is the people in it.
Yeah. Actually, one guy is a plastic surgeon now. He was my roommate. He's another reason why I didn't do well in college. He is a genius. Like, he reads something. His name's Nick. Hopefully he doesn't care that I'm talking about him. But like, he absorbs stuff like physiology. He aced everything. And his dad was a plastic surgeon. And like, I think he went to med school in Burlington, Vermont, University of Vermont. And then he's at like Cleveland Clinic, and he's killing it. Now he's a plastic surgeon.
Here in LA?
No, he's still in Cleveland. I think he's still in Ohio.
Oh.
He like bought a beautiful house. It's amazing. And he's like one of the coolest guys I know.
But
so
he got you in a lot of trouble.
being roommates with him, like, oh, I mean, he's cramming for the final exam 3 days before. I think I could do it.
That's how college really was.
Yeah. He would ace it, fail. I would fail it.
One of those friends.
Yeah.
One of those friends.
I'm like,
That's
okay. And then everyone at the fraternity, nobody cared. They're like, oh, I'm just going to spend 6 days in a science library and cram for everything, and I'll do well. I'm not a crammer.
Well, those are the days before Adderall. I think they were tough.
No, I mean, I tried Adderall. It didn't even work for me. I went on tangents and did other things. Like, I hate Adderall, but it's just like, I tried everything. Like, I wanted to party and then like get good grades. That didn't happen. That's just not how my mind works. It's just like, I need to study like the whole semester. And then when I went to med school, that's when I learned how to like study and how I learned and everything like that.
I think it's also the topics in med school become a little more interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that.
Valuable.
But in college, it was just like, did my voice just crack on the podcast?
It's better. It's better. We're going to leave that one in.
All right. Edit that one out. Time
No.
mark that.
No.
No.
Definitely leave that in.
So, I mean, joining a fraternity was the worst thing you could do. There's a party every single day. And like everyone
That's
would
the
cram.
point of it, right?
Yeah, I know. College,
it's
like,
not-
if my kids don't want to go to college, I'm totally cool with it. It was a waste of time.
There's probably
for me.
networking fraternities,
There was.
but this is probably not the one.
I
you chose.
joined the sleaziest,
Yeah.
like,
That's what I would have joined.
when
though.
they
I
got
mean, at
kicked
that-
off campus. It was Phi Kappa Psi.
They got kicked off campus.
Yeah, we
That's a
didn't even
good
have,
fraternity. You
It-
picked the right one.
I mean, it was cool. All the guys were cool, but we were like the fringe fraternity, not like the other ones that were like doing stuff and stuff like that. We just like to
You're not
party.
doing anything but drinking.
All we did was drink every single day, like Taco Tuesday, Thirsty Thursday, whatever.
Every
I'm
day
like,
of the week
oh,
has
this,
a different name, and it's important.
yeah. I'm like, this
Because
is
it has a
college.
name, it's important.
Because you see movies, you're like, this is what you do in college.
Well, if
and
it's
this,
Thirsty Thursday, how could
I
you?
mean,
how
like,
could you
do I want to
disrespect it?
study? Yeah. It's like, we're going to get sushi and then have 9 sake bombs.
Well,
and
college was a time where it wasn't actually difficult, the material. You could cram in a day or two and actually do pretty well if you focused. But
Yeah.
you can't do that after.
I'm not a crammer. I already know that. So I did bad in college. Bottom line, I don't even know my ending GPA. It was probably barely a 3 or something like that. I failed class. I had to retake classes. Like,
You're 18, 19, 20 years old in college.
I know.
It's not who you're going to be when you got to experience life. It's important. It's important
It was.
to-
It was fun, but not needed. And in the back of my mind, like, my sister went to a Caribbean med school. She's way smarter than me, and she didn't do that well, but she got into a Caribbean med school the first time around. And I'm like, I'm just going to do that. She did a master's in public health at SGU. And then I'm like, I'm just going to follow in for her footsteps. Then came time to apply. Didn't get into SGU. I'm like,
really?
Well, what am I going to do now?
Really?
Yeah. I think I did okay on the MCAT.
But you didn't go straight after college, right?
No, I mean, I would have.
Not by choice.
Not by choice.
So what'd you do for that year?
I took a year off. Then I
I
partied a little more. I got an awesome house in Hermosa Beach on the beach with my friends.
This is
And I'm like, I'm going to study for the MCAT here. I'm going to do better.
MCAT here.
I'm going to party. I'm just
environment.
going to party a little bit.
Enough that it doesn't affect.
And then it's like I didn't learn my lesson. And then I was like, okay, my sister did public health. She got a master's in that. I'm going to apply to public health programs.
Oh, you did do a master's before then.
Yeah. So I went to Drexel in Philly.
That's right. That's when you went to Philly.
Philly has a place in my heart. It's like,
I know.
I love that
Every
city.
so often it comes up with you.
I know. Anytime I meet someone that lived in
kind of
Philly or just
I
like
know, you
anything Philly, that was my first exposure to the East Coast. My brother and sister lived in New York growing up. I'm the youngest. So I'd go and visit there all the time. Like, I'm going to live in New York one day. And then I ended up in Philly. I'm like, this isn't New York. I was kind of bummed about it. It was a small city, but then I loved it even more.
It's like New York's little brother.
It is. And it's grungy, awesome food. It was like up and coming. Like, you could live on a ghetto street, but a new restaurant pops up. The people are cool. It's just, I love Philly.
It's one of our older cities.
Yeah.
Cities.
Yeah. First city is like the first capital of America. Like, I lived on the street that Benjamin Franklin lived on, right next to the first residential street in America, Elfreth's Alley. And I lived in Old City, and like the first church, it used to be the tallest structure in the United States at the time.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome. So much history, but like it was cool. So anyway, I did my master's there. I didn't really love it. Like, God bless those people getting a master's in public health. It's like such a waste of a degree. Like, they're not doing it, especially now after COVID. Like,
Well, isn't it usually a jumping point to something else?
yeah,
typically?
but I
That's
feel
what it's
bad
used
for the people that were actually there that didn't want to go into medicine and do public health. They wanted to do good in the world.
Like social work or
I guess, or like do a social program, like
Right.
vaccinate. But I'm saying, like, after COVID, I feel like public health is like out the window. They're so distrusting of public health, like Fauci and all that. Like,
Yeah,
everyone thinks
right now,
Fauci like messed us up, and like
Yeah.
we had to get this vaccine. It was just now I don't know what a public health person would do, because like
I think there's a lot of public funding still though.
there is, but like name one big initiative that came out from someone doing something awesome in public health, like recently.
Good point. That's
Like,
a good
my
point.
research project was like on hepatitis B vaccinations, and well, long story short, I left.
Why are we researching hepatitis B vaccination?
I don't know.
What
I had
could
to
you
do
possibly
something,
learn
and I
about
want to do indoor air quality when you cook at like in like your house. I wanted to test the air quality and see, like, is cooking in your house without ventilation like bad
That's a-
for you?
That's actually an interesting.
Yeah. I was more on the environmental side, and I did like presentations on like Agent Orange and all this other stuff.
Wow, very different.
Cool
things.
people were there, and God bless them. Like, I wonder what they're doing now in public health.
Well, I mean, we'll probably get a lot of public health people, not so mad.
Yeah.
Happy about what you're saying.
So I was applying to med school at that time, like applying to the most random Caribbean med schools, like
Why?
because I just wanted to go into medicine, and just like that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. I tried other things in college, like economics.
But
My
you applied to multiple med schools.
yeah.
Ah. 'Cause
Okay,
there's
Joe.
like there's like a
Not all of us get into a Caribbean med school first try.
no. I know. How much?
Big
I
show
don't
over
get it.
here.
I know, seriously. What was that? What was that?
I mean, I don't know.
But it was actually that difficult to get into like a AUC St. George.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess they didn't want me. Like, I guess my grades were bad. I didn't do research. I don't know. But anyway,
It's your personal statement, probably.
no, my personal statement was
I
awesome.
love to party. I've joined a
What
fraternity.
was my personal statement? Oh,
I gotta say, you've always written good personal statements. Very interesting.
what, you've read my personal statements?
One of them, for the one for residency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one, but it was like mostly a lie.
No, you rode a bike in every street in New York.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I talked about riding a bike up every street and avenue in New York, and I mapped it.
Manhattan.
Oh yeah, in Manhattan. And then I went to the Bronx and like just because we were like working in the Bronx and all that stuff, and some in Brooklyn, but it was mostly Manhattan. And I totally didn't do like every single street, but I like rode it like I was doing every single street.
Well, I mean, I think that's the point.
Oh,
I'm
thank
just trying to move this light so it's not in my eyes. It's still in my eyes.
All right, you good?
I'm good. Keep on going.
So anyway, no, my personal statement for med school was about me getting meningitis in 8th grade. And like I talked about my story and I milked that story for like college and everything. Like
still milking it too.
I almost died. My whole family was like, are you going to milk the meningitis story again?
I mean, when you get meningitis in 8th grade, I mean, this.
I know. It was this bacterial pneumococcal meningitis. It was just like.
From where? Where did you get that from?
They don't know. I had a huge, like, they did a CT scan and I had like sinusitis, but they don't know how the bacteria got into my brain.
I remember hearing this story and you explained a lot.
Yeah. I almost died. Like, my mom's a pediatrician. And I went to bed one night and.
Before she knew what was happening?
No, she's like, I'm going to take you to the doctor in the morning. Just go to sleep. I was taking like so much Tylenol. I had the worst headache of my life, like hunched over. My neck was stiff.
Do you have memories of these, recollection of it?
So not when I was out. Once I went to bed that night, I woke up. I woke up 4 days later.
Wow.
No recollection. Wow. I was airlifted from Little Company of Mary in the South Bay to Kaiser Sunset. I was on a helicopter. I didn't even know.
Wow.
And then they pumped me full. There was the ER doctor. They did a tap at Little Company of Mary. They knew it, started the antibiotics, whole protocol, you know, like everything. Right. And then they're like, hey, your insurance is Kaiser. So get them out of here. So
Kaiser says get him out of there.
Yeah, Kaiser's like, no, we'll take him. We'll take him.
Oh, he's stable.
Yeah. So yeah, airlifted, woke up 4 days later, and my first recollection, it was like, I was hallucinating. I thought there was like animals in the room and stuff like that. But I had a Foley in, and I thought, because I used to wear basketball shorts to bed, that the string of the basketball shorts was in my penis. Uh-huh. And I was trying to pull it out.
This is the things you recollect.
That's the first thing I read. I'm like, my basketball short string is like, and I kept tugging on it, and they're like, no. And I think they probably strapped me down or something. And then I woke up, I came to, and my mom's like sleeping on the floor. That gets me choked up to this day. Like, yeah, I mean, my mom
can you
is
imagine?
Like,
because all the pain is over there.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I don't remember those 4 days, but I don't think she'll ever forget.
Oh my God.
A single minute.
Like, that's what will get me choked up to, like, seeing my mom sleeping on the floor, like having kids now, like your kid's about to die, your youngest kid.
Can't
like,
imagine.
It was just like, and then I wake up and then my whole family's rallying around me. And like, I didn't think anything happened. I was like, hey, like, what's
especially
up?
With her knowledge.
Yeah.
Especially with her knowledge.
And she was probably beating herself up saying like, oh, I should have taken him earlier or something like that.
I mean, it's very, very difficult to make that assessment after.
Yeah, but my whole family freaked out. I think my sister fainted in the bathroom. Like,
oh my God.
When they called the fire department to like pick me up in the middle of the night, like my sister was getting ready and she fainted in the bathroom or something. The firefighters took me down the stairs, and like my dad was chasing the fire.
How did they find you then? How was it? How did they find
I was luckily that night. I think I was in my mom's bed and she was sleeping next to me, and I was throwing up on myself.
Oh my God.
And I was unresponsive.
Okay.
And then she got a light and my pupils were like fixed.
Oh my God.
And then she started screaming, call 911. The ambulance picks me up. They're like, my dad was chasing the ambulance to and they had to stop and tell my dad, like, you can't run red lights with us. Like, you need to like, you need to, we'll get there when we get there.
Wow.
Yeah, this was all explained to me. I don't remember any of this. And then airlifted to Kaiser, woke up 4 days later, and that's my meningitis story, and that's what I wrote about for my...
It's an incredible story, actually.
Yeah, but and then I like pivoted. I'm like, oh, I want to be like that ER doctor that knew
The
it was
lumbar
meningitis
puncture.
right away. And back then, I'm like, oh, he got the diagnosis. I'm like, it's a pretty textbook diagnosis.
now you're like,
He started the antibiotics right
straight
away,
Yeah,
like before even knowing anything. I'm like, now that's just
Now that's
standard.
standard
That's just standard
practice.
practice. I'm like, how did he know
How
to
did
do
you know
that?
But
Like,
he did the LP though, right?
yeah, LP, CT scan. My brother had to hold me in the CT scanner because I was flailing around and stuff like that. And then, yeah, and then it was a tough recovery. Like I was in 8th grade, and I took like months off of school. I was so weak from being in the hospital bed, like all my muscles wasted away, everything like that. It was just I was in the hospital for a total of 2 weeks, I think.
Wow. But
And-
IV antibiotics for like 4 weeks.
Yeah. And they're like, we don't know how the bacteria got in there. I had a sinusitis, and that's about it. I had the flu like the week before, something like that.
Wow.
And then I looked up my old records, like
Did you
on like
really?
Care Everywhere. I looked up my own. I don't think I'm allowed to admit that because that's like HIPAA. I don't think you're allowed to look up your own records.
Why can't you look up your own?
I don't know, but it was in there. I saw like way
But
back
you
when.
did My Care like off their website. Then you're fine.
No. This was back then when you didn't have like internet. You could see your like charts and stuff. But now with Care Everywhere, I like search my name and I saw the notes of like
Wow.
everything. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I use that as my entrance for med school. I don't know how I'm like, I want to be a doctor like this guy, Dr. Wallace, at a little company in Mary. We used to give him gifts every year for saving my life, but now I realize I'm like, this was just like a home run meningitis, like textbook case.
It's not about that though.
I know. And I thought I wanted to be an ER doctor for the longest time until you rotate an ER and you realize it's just like a crap. Like they get everything. I don't
Which
envy
is why
them.
you respect them.
Oh yeah, I respect them fully. Whenever they send me an admit, I just take it. I don't want to give any pushback or anything like that. I'm like, I know your job's
Because they get it
tough.
a lot too. They get a lot of pushback, but
Yeah, I
it's
know. I'm
important.
like, but I can't imagine that job of like you're the catch-all to society. Homeless people, like you don't know what's going on with this person or anything
right,
like
yeah.
that. And yeah, they're awesome. ER doctors are awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, then applied to med school while I was in Drexel, and then they offered me AUC, American University of the Caribbean.
When you did your masters, were you also like partying and drinking? Did
Yeah.
you have close
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
that were also in the.
Yeah, because we only had like class like 3 days a week or whatever, and I was with cool people.
This is why you enjoyed everything that you've done.
I know. I
That's
mean,
really
I like
why
my
you've enjoyed
path. Like,
everything.
I wonder if my kids are gonna be like, they're gonna fake it till they make it, kind of like me. And because I was like, I'm gonna keep pursuing medicine until I don't have a timeline.
Right.
Like-
yeah.
I'm just gonna be a doctor.
Yeah. However it works out.
I had no other choice, and I had advantage. My parents, the deal in my family, my parents will always pay for education. Like, they're
Right.
just like that's the deal. Whatever you want to do education wise, they'll pay for it.
That's a great.
If I wanted to go off on my own and do something else, it's on me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Not sponsoring your life.
Yeah. So then AUC's like, you can come, but
If
you have to do MERP. MERP is the Medical Education Review Program.
which some of those people that came out of MERP were like really good.
Yeah, one of my friends
Really
in
brilliant.
MERP, he was like awesome. He was just like a really smart guy that should have went to an American med school.
Yeah.
My buddy Paulo, like I don't know why he went to a Caribbean med school, but yeah, some of them were amazing. Some of them were obviously rejects, and like half
Didn't
the people.
Mike, the other Mike,
Michael
also-
Michael. We won't say his last name.
Yeah, but he also went to MERP. He's
He went to MERP.
very smart guy.
So MERP is a program where you kind of do the first semester of med school and see if you could handle it. And if you pass, you get to go to med school. So it's like all the basic like biochem, all that stuff, immunology. It was like 5 classes. You do them and you learn. And that's when I like actually learned how to study. And I didn't cram. Sat in the front of the class.
Right.
Like,
I remember you sat in front of class throughout entirety of med
Yeah,
school.
yeah. You'll know in med school, I was always front of the class. Like my time to learn is in class. Like that, the morning, like from whenever we started 8 a.m. to noon when we had classes, that's my studying. I'm gonna like try to absorb everything, take notes. That's just how I learn.
That was a great way of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't cram or do anything like that. So that's when I really learned how to study and I loved what I was learning. We were in Freeport, Bahamas, and it was like a cool place. It was like a dead island. I mean, it was like a resort island. It was cool, it was fun, cool people there. And yeah, I mean, that's where I learned how to study. And then I passed that. Some people failed out and they don't get to go in. So you could either go to Ross or AUC from MERP. Half of
That's
you goes to
4
Ross.
months though.
Yeah, it was like a semester, maybe 3 or 4 months or something like that. So I proved myself. They let me into AUC. And then AUC.
You get to choose Ross or AUC?
You choose before. I think like AUC accepts you, and then some people, Ross accepts you, and then you go to wherever you like initially wanted to go.
I gotcha.
I think maybe someone tried to switch or something like that, but
No.
yeah. So yeah, then I went to AUC, America. Yeah, we're Caribbean med school graduates. What do you guys think of that? All you American med school people. And we're at the biggest hospitals in LA. But yeah, went to AUC. AUC, hands down, the time of my life. It was one of the best times of my life. I was
Bar none.
Yeah.
I'll say it always. I don't regret a single bit of AUC time. I don't regret anything before that because of my AUC experience.
Yeah.
It's sort of just the right place to be.
Yeah. It was a beautiful island, half Dutch, half French. I mean, like the most beautiful beaches you ever see. Everyone's cool there. It's just, I lived on the beach with my friend Mike and Dan at the time. He didn't continue in med school, but he left in the middle.
But what an amazing time.
Yeah. And then meeting all you guys, it was kind of like we all had the same story. There were like athletes there that like wanted to be doctors. I mean, everyone worked hard, played hard. Of course, people failed out and stuff like that. But like
from every point, every different society of all over the country, it was very interesting to get together and all be in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was doing what I wanted to do. I like loved medicine. I like science. I mean, I know I didn't prove myself before, but like this is so cool. Like we're learning all this amazing stuff about the human body. We're just like doing it. We studied hard. So yeah, I sat in the front of the class.
I know.
I knew how to study. I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I just kept passing. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like,
there's you were doing well. You weren't just passing.
Yeah, I was doing well.
You never had issues. You never had problems. You never were the type to feel like, hey, I'm not gonna,
Because I knew it was my one shot, and I know my mom was worried of me going to MERP because it's like if you fail MERP, you're like this guy failed MERP, he's never gonna go to med school.
Right.
So I'm like, this is like one shot,
right?
And I got
Focus.
it. Yeah.
But then that's the thing. You had the the intention, and then after that you built the the habit.
Yeah. So yeah, AUC, best time. I just kept passing. In the back of my head, I'm like, if I fail, I mean, like, what am I going to do after this? So I just kept doing well. And then you come to the end. And the way that, like, you know how all the Caribbean med schools are like, we have a 99% step one pass rate. You know how they accomplish that? You got to take an exam at the end just to sit for the step exams. What was the name of the exam? The comp. It was like everything. Everything was like a mini step exam. Yeah. And they don't let you take the steps if you fail the comp. Passing the comp was one of the greatest days of our lives.
Getting to the comp, yeah, absolutely. Getting to the comp is like also difficult. It's a lot of attrition before that.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the comp, that's the ultimate, like, hey, maybe 60% of the class passes the comp, right? The first time.
Yeah. We both passed the first time. Oh my God.
After that, it was home sailing.
I know. It was the best. It was one of the best feelings of like, this is what it's like to like work really hard at something and achieve a goal. And,
that's right.
And just do it. But do you remember?
Because after that, I don't think we read a single thing until we left.
No. Do you remember? I thought I failed the comp the night we took it, or like the day we took it. No, me especially. because when we were comparing answers with everyone, my answers were different from everyone else's. And like, I'm like, oh my God, I got that one wrong. I got that one wrong.
Yeah.
And like, now I know how people get like Takatsubos because my heart was beating differently. Like my heart was broken. Like
felt the Takasubos.
I was like, I remember I was laying on my side in the bed and I could feel like, you know, the PMI, my heart was beating against my mattress.
Oh
I'm
my.
like, I failed this thing and I ended up doing well.
That's and you weren't even close to failing. I don't think.
Yeah, I actually did well. And then
It's only those questions you remember are the ones that you spent the most time on. Typically, those are the ones that are.
But
the
no,
most
it was
difficult to
literally
do.
everything. I checked my answer with everything. I'm like, oh my God, I got that one wrong. I got that one wrong. Like everyone would talk about, I'm like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. Everyone's saying they put something different for this.
Everyone go away. I'm going to read.
And then I was like, we tried to like party that night. Everyone was celebrating. And I was just like, just moping around. Like, and everyone's like, dude, Mike, you passed. Like, it's totally fine. And then the next day, I saw the pass. It was the best.
Best
and
feeling.
then we went to the beach, and I remember
Yes.
seeing you in the distance, like with your hand up, like, we did it.
Our entire group of friends, who
Yeah.
also were same personalities, love to have a good time, but could focus when needed.
Yeah.
Our entire group of friends passed the comp.
Yeah, I know.
Not a single one did it.
Yeah.
Which is the best feeling in the world because you get to enjoying with everybody. You get to enjoy everybody's.
Yeah,
pass.
that beach, Mullet Beach, in on St. Martin,
Yeah, we spent more time there. Than
one of the best beaches in the world. I love that beach.
Still my favorite. I
Yeah,
don't know about the best, but my favorite. I mean,
yeah.
what's the
Because
difference?
after every block exam, after everything, we go hang out on the beach and drink till the sun went down, till it was dark,
Yeah.
and then the mosquitoes
Yeah.
would eat us. And then I would drive my motorcycle around.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
like-
that's right. You did have a little motorcycle. Remember it got stolen?
Yeah, it got stolen, and
Yes.
there's something called the Heineken Regatta on St. Martin, and it's like the biggest party of the year. All these ships sail. Everyone comes from all over the world to sail. So the whole town is a party. And I lived off campus on Simpson Bay on a beautiful house on the beach. And my bike was parked out front, and then someone stole it.
In front, like behind your gate, though.
Yeah.
They went into your gate and
Yeah.
took it out. All right.
And then I was friends with all like the gangsters on our street. It was like a shady street that I lived on. There's some guys owned the car wash. They were cool, and I was like, "Hey, do you know where my bike is?" Blah blah blah. And I asked like this old guy who like ran that street. He was like, they gave us protection while we were there. They're like, they're med students. Like, let's not mess with them. They knew our landlord.
Right.
and,
I
like,
think it was.
So a couple days later, they came back with my bike. They're like, we found it on the French side. Like the ignition was like popped out. I had to get it fixed and everything like that.
Wow.
So they got it back for me.
Wow.
But I remember after block exams, I would ride my motorcycle. One time I rode a motorcycle shirtless, barefoot to get home.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like you have to shift with your big toe. And it was like painful. I'm like, if I would have crashed that thing, I
And
would
the
have had skin
streets were not-
grafts.
Yeah,
and
the
like,
streets were not like made. For
no, we would fly down. There's no rules on driving in St. Martin.
right.
People would drive intoxicated all the time.
It's parking lot rules.
Yeah. So many students crash their cars. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, that was a time in St. Martin, one of the best times of my life. And then came time. So you do in Caribbean med schools, you do the first 2 years of basic sciences on the island. And then you choose where to do rotations. And then I did most of my rotations in New York.
What a big chapter change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going from the island to New York.
Yeah. And then I moved to New York, beautiful apartment. I mean, do you remember my apartment in New York?
Upper East Side.
Yeah.
Of course, I will never forget the apartment in New York.
Yeah.
Upper East Side, big rooftop. Put
Yeah.
patio furniture there. I don't even think it was your rooftop. It was just.
No, it was
It
just
was
the
just
top.
a rooftop.
Yeah, I was in a 5-floor walk up, and I was on the top floor, and we would walk up like 5 flights of stairs
Yeah.
every time to my apartment. And then we rotated at hospitals all over New York. So it was mostly Bronx, Lebanon, Brooklyn Hospital, Staten Island University Hospital. I think that's it.
I think those were the three you did.
Yeah. But yeah, I
You
mean,
even went from the Upper East Side to Staten Island. I mean, taking the ferry. I mean, that's an hour, probably 10 commute.
yeah, sometimes. So I wouldn't usually take the ferry if I like missed the bus or something. So I would take the 456 line all the way down to Wall Street, and then there's an X1 bus.
Oh,
That
that would
gets-
take you all the way to Staten Island.
Yeah, that takes you over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge all the way to Staten Island. I used to wake up at 4:30 to go to my rotations on Staten Island University Hospital to get there at 7.
Wow, that is a long commute.
Yeah, and it was just
And a
that's
full day of work, and then you would have to bus back.
bus back. I would fall asleep on the bus on the way home. Just that was my life at that point. It was just that's what I had to do.
But you did your internal medicine rotation in Staten Island.
Internal
That's when you
medicine.
really loved that. You loved that rotation.
Yeah,
I'll never
sub-I.
forget how much you loved that rotation.
Because some of the residents there were the coolest. They were all from like Lebanon. Like I don't know if they had a deal or something. Like the program director.
Who was the program director?
Yeah, she was Lebanese.
There you go.
And then they're all like cool dudes. Like shout out to them. They like would treat me like one of them. They were awesome. Did you ever rotate at Staten Island?
No, I rotated pediatrics at Staten Island.
Oh yeah, I remember you had a place across from the hospital
That's
in
right.
Staten Island.
It was a friend of mine who had a place in Staten Island, and I was in Bronx at the time. I had an apartment in Bronx at the time.
yeah.
And he had a rotation, and I had a rotation, so we just switched houses for
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
entire. Yeah, we just literally he stayed at my place, and I stayed at his place for the entire whatever 4-month block, 3-month block.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my time at. I loved internal medicine there. Like I did my first internal medicine rotate, and I cringe at some of the stuff I said on rounds. And like
It's important.
one time, some guy was on BiPAP.
Oh,
It was like my first time presenting a case, and I said, and it was on the floor, so it wasn't ICU or anything. And I said he was intubated. I'm like, he's intubated, and they're like, we don't usually have intubated patients on the floor. That's BiPAP.
they were nice about it.
Yeah, but you could see like the NP. There's just like some of the nurses like rolling their eyes, and like it was Staten Island. They're like grungy, like Staten Island nurses and stuff like that.
Medicine is so unforgiving. Like even the young people out, they're just like everybody wants to beat them up.
Yeah, I know. And one thing that I didn't realize about medicine that I would tell people now of how much public speaking there is. Because you think
Right.
nobody tells you that going into doing rotations or going into medicine in general, you're always talking in front of people, whether it be rounds, a presentation, morning report, or anything like that.
Patient families, patients.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's all you do really.
You got to be a good talker.
Right.
And then,
Right. You got to be very personable. You got to be really social.
yeah. So you find your rhythm. It's like, you just got to learn how to talk and present and try to present in the right way and do all that. Then Brooklyn Hospital. Brooklyn Hospital was such a shitty place. I mean, it was cool. You're in Brooklyn and everything, but I feel like they were like cared more about, because I think Medicare, someone pays the hospital to have residents, whether it's like Medicare or like,
I think there's government grants.
yeah. So I feel like they were collecting checks, just having as many medical students there as possible.
I see. So there was 20 of you guys for one
Yeah.
one patient. Okay.
Yeah, and I did surgery there, and it was wild. It was like, now when people talk about toxic programs, it's like I saw the residents were all unhappy. They were fighting with each other.
Right, yeah.
They would like snap on each other.
They wanted to kill each other. That's
Yeah.
surgery residencies.
I know.
It's really
Some of them were cool, definitely. Don't get me wrong, but like it wasn't like Staten Island University Hospital when everyone was cool to me. Like all the Lebanese guys and everything, they were all cool. But like, oh my God, surgery at Brooklyn Hospital. And then I did ER there.
Oh.
And it was like not even like a trauma set. It was just like a random community ER. Get the most random shit. And then people were like doing their audition roles and like trying to be ER doctors. And I'm like, I knew I didn't want to be an ER doctor. So I would just like go in and see what procedures I could do. And like, it was cool.
It would let you do procedures?
Oh my God. One time, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Like get good enough to do procedures on your own.
As a med student.
Yeah. Then this one guy came in. He was like a fob Middle Eastern, like comes in and he was like brushing a hat or something at home, and one of the bristles went into his thumb and it got infected and there was like an abscess in there.
Wow.
And then I staffed it with the resident and I'm like, yeah, like we should drain it. And he's like, okay, we'll drain it. Or I don't know if he said will or like go drain it or whatever. Me and this other med student, we didn't even know how to like,
that's us.
Yeah, to like inject lidocaine. I'm like, I heard about a ring block before. Like, let's just like inject and numb his thumb and like do all this stuff.
Wow.
And then we drained it, and then the resident walks like, dude, you're supposed to wait for me. I was like, oh, I thought like that's, I thought you like trusted us. And
wait.
I thought like we were cool.
I thought you knew me better.
And then he got pissed, and then, but like he totally wasn't like, numb in his thumb or anything like that.
The entire thing.
Yeah, like I don't
Your
know.
ring block didn't work.
Yeah.
You definitely just numbed the base of the thumb and then went for the distal.
Yeah.
That's the most.
So yeah, that's how Brooklyn Hospital was. It was just like everyone's flying by the seat of their pants. It's just the craziest patients in the middle of Brooklyn. It's just
more underserved hospitals sometimes is where you learn the most.
Oh yeah, cool. That's where I learned how to place IVs and like
right.
Yeah, I was like, that's where I did all that stuff.
Because it's out of necessity that you have to actually go and do those sort of procedures. And
residents had to draw labs.
Right.
I'm like,
I remember at Bronx, we used to come in the morning and draw labs in medical school.
Yeah, I know.
And they used to tell me, and it was, I know now that they were just doing it so that I can go and, draw labs, but they were like, you're so good at it.
Yeah,
you're so good at it.
Yeah, I remember one guy.
And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really good at it. Hey, this one's really tough. Why don't you go and do it? And I would run over there and, now I realized that they were just trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I remember one guy at Staten Island, he's like, wasn't comfortable with labs. He's like, can you do me a favor and draw these? Because every stat lab had to be by the resident. So he's like, I'll owe you big time if you draw these labs. And I just go and do it, and I do it. And at the time, you think like, oh, I'm a doctor. I'm going to need to know how to draw a lab.
Yes, that's right.
I have not drawn a lab. I don't even think I did it at residency. In my residency.
No, I know you didn't do it at your residency. I know you didn't do it.
Yeah, or anything like that. I'm like, I need to know how to do this.
Your residency was a resort.
Oh yeah, we'll get to my residency. So anyway, rotating all over New York, being young in New York was another fun time in life. It's New York City. It's a big 30s. Playground. Yeah, you were there. We partied. You'd come over.
Oh yeah,
we'd have so much fun together, and then we'd do our rotations.
Again, it was like living together again. That's why we became so close, because we spent all of our time off together.
Yeah. And then I was mad that you went to Bakersfield.
I was pretty mad about it myself.
Yeah. You're like, I got it. Like, just switch. Just stay in New York.
Yeah. That was. I agree. I agree with all of that.
Yeah. I mean, someone's calling me.
You want to take a break?
No, let's just finish this one.
Okay.
And then, let's wrap up. And then I went to residency. And then I went to residency in...
You don't have that many stories from residency.
No, I do.
You've got a nice house. I'm sure you had a good time, but it wasn't like the first 4 years.
No, I mean...
That journey was a little bit different. It slowed down. You got a house.
So I had a cush residency.
You came to Vegas a couple times.
Yeah, I came to Vegas during residency. It was just... it was a cush residency. It was in the Coachella Valley. Maybe I won't say the hospital, but people could figure it out. But it was great. Did internal medicine, did well. It was a beautiful hospital.
Great program.
The program had money. It was relatively new. I think it was probably only open for like 5 years before that or something like that. The teachers were good. The attendings, everything was good. The subspecialties, we learned cardiology really well because they have a big cardiology program, and they really cared. There was this one cardiologist that would sit with us every morning report, make us all read EKGs.
Wow.
You had to read an EKG and a chest x-ray every morning report.
Good.
So yeah, I'm very comfortable with EKGs, chest x-ray. I love CT scans, even though.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, cush residency, and then... It was time to decide, do I want to do a fellowship? And I'm like, no, I'm done. It's a long road. I need to start making money. I was starting to.
But you also enjoyed it.
I
always loved the hospitalist. You always loved the.
Yeah, because I'm all about lifestyle.
Yeah.
I like the time on and off. I like the acute care. I'm a people person. It's like being a server. Like you go from table to table and you like talk to these people, make a joke, blah blah blah, go to the next room. You kind of vibe with them. I'm really good at gauging like who people are really quickly to know whether to be serious or like open or like what they want.
That comes from your experiences in life. That's why it was so important to have those social years.
Yeah. And like all my reviews, when attending would review you, they were all good. Like he's always personable. He's always happy. I loved being there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't complain. I wasn't one of those residents that would complain all the time.
No.
And just there was so many people that would like complain. I'm like, we have it so easy. You could be in New York and like drawing your own labs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Which is why New York had a lot of like out of country residents.
Yeah. And I interviewed all over the place. I got like so many interviews because as a Caribbean med school student, you have to like apply everywhere to like 100 programs.
Yeah.
I remember going on the interview trail to like New Jersey, New York, all these stuff, like Bakersfield, and then in California. I'm like, I need to be back home in California. I've been away from my family for so long. Being in New York, the Caribbean, everything. I was away for a long time. So I'm ready to come back to California, and the closest I can get was the Coachella Valley. And then
that's not that far.
Yeah. I would go home a lot. They would come and visit because I had a house in Palm Springs, and it was great.
What you did.
Yeah. And like all the there's nothing to do because the Coachella Valley, it's all old people. Yeah. And it's not like at night it would die. And it was nice because it was calm and chill. How we would have fun as residents is like someone would have a pool party at their house. Everyone had a pool.
That's awesome.
And you just day drink and have fun and do all that. So yeah, awesome residency, no complaints. Although so many residents in my program complained all the time. I don't know how people become chief residents and like they hear all these complaints.
I was a chief resident. And
oh my God, we'll get into that. And I want to hear all the complaints that like people did with you.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah. So yeah, and then now I'm in attending in LA. And I have a cush job. I'm a 1099 independent contractor, no W-2.
That's awesome.
And it's the best. And I love the 7-on, 7-off. And I like the patient population that I'm in. I live far from the hospital. I don't mind the commute. I mean, and I couldn't ask for a better path. I wouldn't change a thing. Maybe I should have tried harder in college. But again, if I could do it again, I don't think I would go to an American med school.
What your experiences are because of what you did in college and what you did in med school and residency. How you got into where you are and your friends now are all based off of that.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I don't know what your life would be in an American med school.
It would have sucked.
I think you would have been a different person. I think you would have been less successful because
I think so. Like
it's very easy to hate what you do when you're in medicine, and not being around the right people, not being around people who compliment you.
And it's you guys, my friends.
Then it becomes like just torture the entire way through, and that's we have to have an escape. You and I are very much similar in that aspect that we have to have some sort of work-life balance, and medicine is great because of that.
Yeah, I know. It was all you guys. Like I loved the journey. Like being in med school, maybe not necessarily college because there's so much uncertainty, but the journey in med school with you guys was one of the best ever.
We'll never forget it. Although sometimes I think of stories, I'm like, my God.
I know. We'll get into those in other episodes.
We've got to be careful about how many stories and how deep into those stories we get.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, if I had to do it again, Caribbean med school, I would tell my kids to go to a Caribbean. I'm like, you're going to have, if you work hard, you'll play hard, you'll be in a beautiful place. I'm with American med students or people that graduated from American med schools, like at my same hospital. I'm supposed to be at one of the top prestigious hospitals in LA. and I'm a
You
Caribbean
are
med
not
school.
supposed to be. You are at one of
Yeah,
the
I
top
know.
prestigious hospitals, and it's not even LA. It's the entire.
Yeah. They're like, this is number 2 in the nation. I'm like, really?
That's what
I
the
see
posters
so
they put
many.
up. I'm sure they put those posters up.
Yeah. I'm like, really? We're like the top? I'm like, I see so many people. Like, never mind. But we have all the best specialties. Like, if you need a specialty surgery or anything like that, you should
the
just come to us.
subspecialist of subspecialists.
Yeah.
The guy who only does one lobe of the liver.
Yeah. Like, and like, because I came from a pretty sheltered residency, it would be like the basic bread and butter, CHF, COPD exacerbations, everything like that.
Right.
But you go to this hospital, it's like people come from all around for like stuff I haven't even heard of. I'm still learning. I'm like, what is this surgery? Like, I haven't even heard of this surgery.
Wow. Pioneering surgeries.
Yeah. And yeah. And some of the biggest people in the world in medicine are there. And I'm like, and I like staff with them. I'm like, we're like the same thing. And I went to a Caribbean med school.
Yeah. And that becomes more your bias than anything else.
Yeah, nobody ever asks.
No.
Yeah, so
it's really you're comparing yourself to everybody, and I don't think it's deserving.
To all the kids out there, like, you think you're going to be tainted being a Caribbean med school student? Nobody ever asks. People barely ask you where you went to residency.
Nobody asks anything like that.
Yeah.
They can judge how good you are by how good you are. They know what you're doing.
Yeah. So that's the road. And now I'm just working. And now this podcast is our creative outlet. I've been working so scientific. And I feel like I needed to do something creative because we have so many stories from med school, residency. And it's just going to be about, I can't believe this happened, or the culture of medicine, or whatever. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, it's our time to put aside to hang out.
Yeah, and I just wanted to hang out with Joe. Joe, why did you force me to do this podcast?
You know what's funny is like this was your idea, but it was so accepting immediately by me that it was odd.
Yeah, I built this whole studio, and I'm like, Joe, if I build it, he'll come, and he just needs to sit there and look pretty and then chime in.
This is what I'm doing.
All right, that's our first test episode. I mean, hope you guys like it. Stay tuned for episode 2. Again, no medical advice.
Don't listen to anything we're saying.
Yeah.
Listen, but don't.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll stay
apply.
tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I know people say that.
What does that mean?
We're off call.
Podcast, there's likes and subscriptions?
Yeah, we have an email. If you want to email us anything, questions, concerns, topics, the email is offcallpod@gmail.com. Offcallpod. So yeah, email us anything. We hope to do this for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you.